If your content cannot be read, cited, or trusted by an AI, it is worthless. If you're not showing up in the large language models, it doesn't matter how good it is, you're essentially invisible in this AI world. In this video, I want to walk you through a step-by-step process that you want to run through each piece of content to make sure that you are fully optimized to be visible to the large language models. You may have heard of terms like answer engine optimization, generative engine optimization, AI search optimization. It's all referencing the same thing, which is now that users are searching AI and getting answers directly from AI as opposed to clicking through on a blue link. So now it doesn't matter how good your content is or where you're ranking, but more important is, are you being pulled in by the large language models? So large language model SEO could be in Perplexity, ChatGPT, or Google has AI mode and AI overviews. In Google in particular, there's the AI mode, which can summarize the content of the website, the search engine results page, or AI mode is a deeper research which gives specific answers and identifies what the answer is by a query fan out technique, which is taking your one query that you're typing into the search bar and identifying what the subtopics are, what the subqueries are, and providing the answer. So for these large language models, it's a clarity, it's the content, it's a structure of the data on the page that's important beyond just the backlinks, which was really important for traditional SEO. In Google's documentation of its AI products, AI overviews and AI mode, it does note that there is the same foundational SEO best practices that apply to the AI features as well as traditional SEO. However, there are some key things that you can do to optimize your on-page content to increase the likelihood of LLM visibility. And that's what I want to cover with you in this video. The first optimization in your LLM SEO checklist would be including a TLDR summary at the top. So this is just going to be a high-level overview. So TLDR, too long, didn't read. And it's actually more helpful for the user as well as the bots to understand what the summary, what the content of the page is. So you put this after your H2. And I want to show you an example of what this looks like in practice. This is AirOps, a leading SEO content platform. And so this post is about how AirOps uses AirOps and some of their use cases. But you'll see here that there's a TLDR, and this is just a 3-bullet summary of what the main takeaways are. So you can read this, understand, but also more importantly, for the bots to understand what the content of the page is. The second LLM SEO optimization that you'd want to make is an FAQ section. So in this FAQs is frequently asked questions. Basically, it is to address other questions that somebody might have after reading the piece of content. And it is helpful if you think about what the fan out technique is from AI mode, that you have the question that somebody's trying to address on the page or trying to understand, and then what are the related questions. And if you can include that in an FAQ section, it is really helpful both for the reader and for the LLM bots. And I'll show you an example here. This is from Zendesk. So here's an article from a week ago on what is agentic AI. So this is a full comprehensive post on agentic AI. And then at the bottom, there is an FAQ section. So there are the use cases, future trends and predictions, and then an FAQ section. Each question has one distinct answer. There are 2 questions here. Now, one area where they're falling short is to add this FAQ schema. So Google has FAQ schema here, where you would want to wrap the FAQ in the JSON LD, so JSON linked data, and it would be under FAQ page. So these questions would be within the JSON LD, and I'll show you how that actually appears, because this is helpful for the LLMs to see structured data so it can understand and ingest the data. This is with a free extension, the detailed.com extension. And here in the schema is the different ways that it is categorizing the data on the page. So we'll have other examples later, but there should be an FAQ page schema type, and to address these questions here, or to include these questions within that schema. It doesn't do it, however, it does have the frequently asked questions, which is important for the LLM visibility. Now moving on, the next thing that would be helpful is including specific H2s that match questions. So if you think about how the the large language models are pulling information, a lot of it is looking for concise answers to questions, whether it is a question that the user is adding specifically or it's a sub-query or subtopic that is part of the fan-out technique. And if you can add this in the H2 to structure the H2s in the way that somebody would use in natural language, then that helps the LLM match the content to the intent. So here's an example here. Let's see. This is a post that I did for AirOps, and some of these H2s are to address in the question type in natural language. So this is about the new metrics for content with AI, large language models. And so here, this H2, for example, is why do you need new content and SEO metrics? Then there's a follow on here is word count and trap. Speed is table stakes. What are the new SEO metrics then? So you can see here that these are phrased in natural language and they're phrased in question types, and they're relatively specific to ideally mirror what somebody would be entering in the large language model. Now, structured schema. So I mentioned this schema before. This would be just a JSON snippet that you would add to the page in your JSON LD custom field. And so there are different schemas. Some of them that are more important for large language models are article, FAQ page, how-to schema. And so obviously you want this to be relevant and you want to include this on your page, but you'd want to include the JSON LD. And another example here, I think AirOps does a really nice job of this. So this is the AirOps example I pulled earlier, and it is showing, here's the overview, but if we go to schema, this is some of the information here. So the author type, this is really important for the experience, expertise, and authority and trust. That's important to highlight that there is specific expertise and it's not just regurgitating generic information, but it is linked to a person. And some of the other schema is included here. Another LLM optimization is EEAT. So this is what Google calls experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So you want to have real people writing it. And if you are having somebody, you want to include more specifics about them to highlight and specify what their credible background is. Here's a good example, I think, I pulled one from Matt Diggity, who has one. He is an expert in SEO, so a long, extensive article. And then at the bottom, there is an about, there's the links, and then some other social links. And so you can see how this appears in the schema, that there's the person type, Matt Diggity, and some of the other links here. So the social links as well. So the name, the author, the profile image. So these are all the schema types. This is the important schema that you'd want to make sure is added on each page. Now the next LLM optimization is to add direct answer snippets and in natural language. So this is where it's important for you, when you're thinking about how you want to write, you don't want to write in long, verbose, fluffy language, but something that's succinct and direct, because that is what's most helpful to be pulled in by the LLM and improve your likelihood of being a citation, a cited source. So AI favors clarity, brevity, and structure. The next LLM optimization is to create internal links to different clusters. So ideally, you're having a topic page, and then your subtopics or your pages that are related to your pillar or your topic page. And so you want to have 2 to 4 related pages and links on each page, include descriptive anchor text. And then what this does is it ultimately creates a self-referencing network. So the AI understands that this is deeper domain expertise. A nice example of this is HubSpot. So HubSpot's product is very broad, but also very deep. So they cover areas, their product and content cover marketing, sales, CRM. And so they need to have a website and an infrastructure that supports that. So we can take a look here as an example. Their blog is a good representation of how they are thinking about their content clusters, and as it goes deeper, what the pillar page is. So for example, there are different topics like marketing, sales, service, AI, and then it's also broken up by topics. So there's Instagram marketing, customer retention, email. And so these are the pillar pages, and then there are subtopic pages to support each of these. And this is how they're working their internal links, and all their links are pointed to some of these main topics, main pillar pages. So at a high level, that's how you can optimize the content on your page to increase the chance of LLM visibility to be picked up, cited, and referenced by large language models. So just to recap real quick, include a TLDR summary at the top so that each page has a 3-bullet, 4-bullet summary to understand quickly for a reader, but more importantly for the bots to understand what the content is. Include an FAQ section. So this is kind of what the other questions would be a user or reader would want to address, and include that in the FAQ schema as well. Have your H2s mirror the questions that somebody would be asking, and use a natural language in those. And so you really want to think about the H2 structures. Then include schema markup. So this would be just adding a JSON LD snippet on your page in your content management system, and then using JSON LD to include the article FAQ how-to schema as relevant on your page. Make sure that you're infusing each piece of content with unique perspective that you might have, so data or unique perspectives of an individual, your experience, expertise, authority, and trust. These are all critical for AI LLM visibility. When you're writing, try and include direct answer snippets, so short snippets. This helps the LLM. This is in the interest of getting picked up by a large language model for clarity, brevity, and structure. And then make sure that you are thinking about how you are linking to the most important pages on your site. If you want to learn how I use AI, the prompts and processes to create a great piece of content up front, make sure you click the link below to watch that. Or if you want to jump on a call and understand how I can help you create your strategy and optimize your content for increasing large language model visibility, make sure to click the link below and let's jump on a call. Thanks so much.